Before we dive into the blood-soaked madness of this 88 film slasher classic collection review, a quick heads up for listeners and viewers alike. These episodes come straight from the podcast Under the Stairs archives, recorded before the launch of the YouTube channel and long before video podcasts became part of the show. These reviews were originally crafted purely for audio. So if the production feels a little rougher around the edges or a little more stripped back than current episodes, that's because you're hearing the show in its earlier form, raw, passionate, and let's be honest, a little waffly at times. Whether you're revisiting these reviews or discovering them for the first time, please sit back and relax and enjoy this trip through the golden age of mass killers, inventive gore, and VH era nightmares. This podcast is not safe for work and will feature movie spoilers. It will feature scenes described of a graphic nature. It will contain language which most listeners may find offensive. Welcome to the podcast Under the Stairs. Hi everyone and welcome to the podcast Under the Stairs. This is your Sunday 88 Films Slasher Classic series of reviews. I'm your host Duncan. Welcome to the show. We are reaching a landmark on this series, finally arriving at disc number 30. Now, to be honest, if you'd asked me by the time we'd reached disc number 5, would I have envisaged another 25 movie reviews in this series? I would have said no. I would have thought actually by this stage I could have or would have or should have quit, but for whatever reason I've kind of dug my heels in and continued on through the trials and tribulations that is the Slasher Classic series. However, we are arriving at a movie that I am fairly familiar with. I've seen it twice, and that second time was today. But I watched it a couple of years ago for the Doing the Nasty podcast. We're doing the Toolbox Murders. It was video nasty. It was banned in the UK for a period of time, and this is the first time through 88 films that this movie has been released uncut in the UK. So I was kind of interested to see what it would look like cleaned up a bit, and with all that content that the censors stripped out returned, and you will get my thoughts on that movie after the first break. Now, let's catch you up. This was originally programmed as a 4-episode week, and yesterday's episode didn't happen, but there is good reason for that. I've been kind of doing a bit of stuff behind the scenes, specifically not only with the summer series, which is a trundling on with the recording and is about to bear fruit relatively soon in the form of the usual teaser video that drops about 2 weeks before the series runs live, the kind of final update, and then the actual series running live with the very first episode covering the year 2000, which will be dropping in the last week of this month, July. So all that's been happening in the background. But I've also been doing some interviews. I've been kind of using my lockdown time to respond to a lot of those emails that I get from labels saying, do you want to chat to folk? And I have done a few recently that I really enjoyed. And one came in from Arrow Video recently that kind of piqued my interest. And in very short order, an interview was arranged and a screener was issued my way. So I literally had to watch a movie, get myself in order and do an interview, which is what happened yesterday. And it's why there was no episode yesterday, because I wanted to divert my focus for that. So you'll hear that movie review and that interview when it drops tomorrow. Now, the movie itself is available if you're interested on the Arrow Video channel, so if you use that streaming service, and why wouldn't you? At the moment you get 30 days free, so you might as well jump across, check it out. They've got a ton of stuff over there. And you can check out Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway, which is the movie that will be reviewed tomorrow, and an interview with the director. But it's also getting a physical release. It's coming out in Blu-ray on the 14th of September, so you'll hear more information on that on tomorrow's episode. That's why there was no Saturday episode. We will continue that series of the listener choice ones kicking off next week, so we'll come back to that for sure. So yeah, that kind of derailed that situation there, but for good reason, and hopefully you enjoy the conversation that comes out from that. Over in the Teapots Collective feed, Doing the Nasty dropped an episode this week. There are no scheduled episodes dropping on the feed next week. And then the week after we will be doing a little bit of Where to Begin with Giallo. Like I said before, Opera Omnia has been slightly delayed. It should return at the end of this month along with more Doing the Nasty. There is no Chronicle this month because we finished a chapter. The next chapter kicks off next month with the final 3 movies in our British folk horror series. So that's you all up to date. That is where we are right now. And let's just get into what I want to actually talk about, which is the Toolbox Murders. So we're going to take a very short break just now. You're going to hear promos for shows that I love. You're going to hear the trailer for this movie. When we return, we're discussing disc number 30 of the Slasher Classics collection, The Toolbox Murders, one of the OG video nasties. Coming right up, right after this.
Hello, this is The Doom Show. Keep on keeping on and keep on trucking, America. We don't listen to our feedback because we don't get any.
The truth hurts.
I just alienated the two people that give us constant feedback. Sorry, guys.
That's gotta go. That's gotta go in there.
So on the show, we talk about giallo movies and slasher movies and cult movies. Sometimes we even talk about Cameron Mitchell and his movies. I am Richard. Who are you?
I'm Brad, the guy that's not Richard, or Jeffrey, or Simon.
That's right, we have 4 people, and we always talk at once, except to each other.
Jeffrey lives up north. Simon lives across the world. Richard lives in Penis, Alabama.
Hello, This is The Doom Show is a proud member of the Legion Podcast Network. Check out the other shows on legionpodcast.com. You can check out more Hello, This is The Doom Show at hellodoomshow.podomatic.com or at doomedmoviethon.com.
Check for our Amazon exclusive Hello, This is The Doom Show cookbook.
Do you like hot dogs?
We got them.
Do you like mac and cheese?
We got it.
Do you like cheddar?
We have it.
Actually, we don't.
No cheddar.
Just Colby. Colby Jack.
Hello, this is The Doom Show. We never gave up on you because you never gave up on us.
Wow.
This man is about to commit the most atrocious crimes in American history. Linda Githens, age 22. Valerie Hoffman, age 24. Mary Ann Stevens, age 21. These women have one thing in common. They are all victims of the Toolbox Murders.
What the hell are you doing?
On July 23rd, 1977, a hooded killer terrorized a small suburb of Los Angeles, California. His identity was unknown, but he committed a series of crimes so fiendish that it shocked the entire country. He struck with no warning. He preyed on innocent young women. In his hands, simple tools became the instruments of death. Victims died screaming, but for the one still alive, the worst was yet to come. The Toolbox Murders, a true story. When you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
And welcome back, ladies and gents. So, you've just heard the trailer for disc number 30 of the Slasher Classic Collection. This is The Toolbox Murders. That's right, we finally reached this little movie. I was quite excited to see this one pop up on the list. Not only because I've had it for a while now, this is one that I bought a wee while ago, but this is one of the kind of OG video nasties. This is one of the ones that was on the infamous kind of banned. I think this was on the non-prosecuted list actually, although it does make you wonder. But there are reasons specifically why this movie's on there, and we'll touch on a bit of them when we get into it. But yeah, the Toolbox Murders from 1978. This one is kind of legendary, and it's also been remade since. The remake itself, I'll be honest, wasn't a huge fan of it, which, I mean, I mean, that shouldn't surprise anyone. It was directed by Toby Hooper, and we will get into how ironic that is when we discuss reasons for this movie being potentially banned. But yeah, he would do the work on it, but he would do it using, if memory serves, it was a script that was written by the guys behind The Mother of Tears, which I quite like, but it's not a well-written movie. And the Toolbox remake is kind of, it doesn't have what you want from a movie which is essentially an exploitation movie from the 70s. It kind of tries to modernise things in a way which kind of takes it from its comfort zone, its genre, somewhere else. So let's give you some blurb about this movie from the 88 Films website. It says, completely uncut and uncensored for the first time ever in the UK. Never released uncut in the UK before, Toolbox Murders stars the legendary Cameron Mitchell from Blood and Black Lace as a balaclava-clad bad man who stalks and splatters a number of nubile and frequently nude young ladies across Hollywood's apartment block. Included in the vixen victims is the legendary adult star Kelly Nichols of Roommates fame, who's turned into a human pincushion by our unapologetic evil antagonist. Banned as a video nasty in the UK, Toolbox Murders would be remade by the legendary Toby Hooper, director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in 2004, but nothing beats this original nightmare, which, along with Halloween, heralded a new era of slice and dice madness in the late 1970s. Finally unleashed in HD by 88 Films and an all-new special edition, this gore gem is ready to drill and thrill you in brilliant Blu-ray edition. The special features are a new 2017 4K transfer from the positive elements and corrected 185:1 theatrical aspect ratio, additional expert colour correction, DTS HD ME 5.1 remix, LPCM stereo audio, optional English subtitles, flashback memories, David Duvall remembers actor Cameron Mitchell, Flesh and Blood, an interview with actress Kelly Nichols, an audio commentary with slasher expert and author of Teenage Wasteland Justin Kerswell, theatrical trailer, and reversible sleeve with alternate artwork. The technical specs for the movie are that it's region locked to region B, the picture format is HD 185:1, the audio format is DTS HD ME 5.1 and LPCM stereo, the language is English, subtitles English, certification 18, and the runtime is 1 hour and 33 minutes. So, I mean, we got into this when we were doing the Nasty way back in the day. The Toolbox Murders is an obvious contender for video nasty contention, but it probably came to the attention of the censors first and foremost from that addition of the word toolbox, more than the word murders. The reason behind that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre was already banned in the UK before we even started having a video nasty list, and movies like Driller Killer didn't really help things. Driller Killer infamously was banned pretty much on that artwork, which is obviously the guy's head being drilled into, and when you put out something kind of gloriously garish, it does, attract a certain amount of ire from puritanical nutters. The Toolbox Murders falls in with movies like Axe, for example, that are banned first and foremost because of the name. It's what attracts the attention. Unlike the aforementioned Axe, which is a painfully banal movie, the Toolbox Murders has a lot of murder in it, a lot of vicious murder, and a lot of, tools of the trade from the box of tools being used as murder weapons. So from my point of view, this is one of the ones that kind of feels more fitting on that banned list. Not that I believe any movie should be banned at all. Fling on top of that, there is a lot of female nudity. There's a female masturbation sequence, right? And we're not, just to stress here, we're not like up in the axe wound with a camera or anything like that. But it's the camera lingers over a woman in the bath. Double clicking the mouse, if you know what I mean. So that scene happens quite long in this, and of course that's Kelly Nichols, who was an adult film star, so that probably doesn't help things either. So for all these reasons, it kind of on paper makes sense why the Toolbox Murders would appear on the Video Nasties list. This is a movie that when I watched the first time, I found remarkably unpleasant. And on the rewatch, especially in this 4K restoration, they've cleaned up quite a bit of that grain, but there is still something very 70s sleaze about it. And you kind of feel a bit icky when it finishes, if I'm being honest. It's a movie that from about, 5 minutes in, we are just on a tear with this balaclava killer who's going room to room, essentially killing women, and doing it with a degree of glee and using various different kind of power tools. One of the things I love about this movie is the actual introduction of the killer is him walking back to the camera in towards the apartment block, and he passes a child and he kind of ruffles the child's hair in a kind of playful, well, you little kids, you just enjoy life and whatnot, before he goes in and kills someone with a drill, which I find is this wonderfully dark, macabre juxtaposition. I think it's kind of fucking amazing, actually. As this is the introduction, when we see this guy, we think, oh, that's a nice guy, and then literally, a minute and a half later, he is drilling a woman to death. So I think that's kind of fucking amazing. But this movie really doesn't. It's weird to say that, because for all the reasons I will applaud this movie for how fucking absolutely bloodthirsty it is. There's an offset here where it's not exactly well written. In fact, it's actually kind of poorly written, and I don't really like the script. I don't like the dialogue from most of the characters in here as well. But I do love the unabashed violence that you see on the screen here. I would argue that it's a slasher movie, and I know this is semantics that we come back to a lot in this series, but I genuinely would. This to me feels more like, an exploitation horror movie than it would be when you consider the year it comes out. It's the year of Halloween. Do I feel that there is a kindred spirit between the Toolbox Murderer and the Toolbox Murders and Halloween? Not really, like at all. Out with there's some people dying. We're not really following people who are trying to survive whilst the murderer is going, kind of room to room killing people. We're more following the murderer, to be honest, for the majority of the movie. And there is a reveal later on, which I think is a kind of nifty reveal, but also does show off how horrible his kind of cat and mouse games have elevated to as this kind of psychopathic serial killer. I mean, there's also part of me that thinks, on paper, how much of this is influenced by kind of the real world, whereas Halloween isn't. Halloween is kind of off to the side. But this idea of the Toolbox Murders feels like something that could have been birthed out of the back of the, Ted Bundy spree killing and stuff like that as well. So it feels weirdly grounded in reality, whereas like those early slasher movies kind of feel less grounded in reality and more in this kind of hyper steroid injected version of reality. There's a element of it as well which makes me feel, that where Halloween kind of feels like we're almost in the 80s with that movie. This movie feels like we're almost kind of, it's a late 70s movie that feels more comfortable, or should have felt more comfortable in the mid 70s. Specifically just the feel, the vibe, the fashions, and the camera work. The camera work has this very leery, very voyeuristic, intrusive sort of take in the way it's used in the film. And once again, you get that later on in slashers, but the original kind of first run of what would be slashers from Halloween, even through Friday the 13th to an extent, are not as voyeuristic. I feel they do at times kind of go that way, but every kill here feels like, pornography for murder fiends. And it works really well in this movie. It works really, really well, but it's another reason I kind of feel like, there are certainly elements that I would call, proto-slasher. I also kind of feel that there's part of this Toolbox Murders is influenced by like a movie like Torso, for example, by Sergio Martino, which comes a couple of years before this, but also has a balaclava, killer who essentially towards the end of that movie is picking off young girls in a large kind of stately home. So, and that movie is a proto-slasher as well. So maybe that's kind of where Toolbox Murders sits as a kind of an American exploitation adaptation and update of something like Torso, but also with the kind of proto-slasher trappings. The deaths are pretty violent, if we're honest, and there is a variety of ways he kills people, which makes it, there's not a dull moment in this movie. And then kind of juxtaposed with all that kind of uber violence, there's a particular creepy character that we'll come across later on, and how he acts with his, captive daughter, which is kind of uncomfortable to watch as well. And that plays out to an ending that I genuinely love. There would be, on the back of so much death and that kind of voyeuristic camera work on those deaths, a really easy way to end this movie with the kind of heroine killing the killer. This movie shows you the implement and then shows you the girl kind of traumatised walking down the street with a bloody nightie. That, to me, is the smart way of closing out this movie. We've seen enough death. We don't need to see that. All we need to do is see the after effect, and we know what's fucking happened. We can piece it all together, and I kind of enjoy that. I mean, the kind of the gore is good. The acting is ropey. I think Cameron Mitchell's kind of amazing in this, but it's Cameron Mitchell who is wonderfully cheesy and kind of amazing in movies. I think there is an attention to titillation here in terms of a lot of naked women, a lot of bush, a lot of tits, a lot of ass. The reason behind that is that these sort of movies would play specifically at more X-rated cinemas, or I would imagine on the kind of grindhouse drive-in theatre circuit as well, where you're going to get, an audience for that, so to speak. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I think that works in its favour as well. It's one of these movies that, like I say, I think is a weird one to include in this collection. Not as egregious as some of the other ones we've seen that have made the collection. I can kind of see a link here if we had a giant chalkboard or corkboard with either a line of chalk to draw between things, or some red string from conspiracy theorists, cupboards to link the different movies that connect as well, if you include this one as a slasher, this one technically is a slasher. I think, you could probably just squeeze the Toolbox Murders in there. I don't feel comfortable putting it in there, but I do think this movie has not only an interesting legacy, but has legs. Like, coming back to watch it, I found it just as nasty and just as uncomfortable as I did the first time I watched it, which is a testament to it. I mean, the 4K restoration is actually surprisingly good. And the special features here, really good as well. A couple of the interviews that I checked out, I really enjoyed. And I also thought the audio commentary, which I flicked on and off during this one, was just full of interesting trivia and an interesting commentary as well. I think overall this movie is one of the better ones that is on the list here, if we're being honest, and I would give it a 4 out of 5. I do really like this movie. I feel uncomfortable saying I really like it just because it has issues, especially in 2020. Its kind of portrayal of women is more than just a little bit problematic. But that being said as well, there's some real moments of tension in here, and the playful nature that the killer carries out when he is hunting and killing is something that I think really stands out against some of the other movies that are out around this time. It holds up for me. It's a great print as well. This is one that I would say, if you are interested in getting the better ones in the Slasher Classics collection, Toolbox Murders is definitely one you should be splashing out money for. And I'm surprised how well it held up, if I'm honest. Coming back to check this one out after a couple of years, it still works for me. So there we go. That is your review of Toolbox Murders. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I will be letting you know what we'll be covering in 3 weeks' time on the Slasher Classics collection right after this. And you've been listening to the podcast Under the Stairs. This has been your 88 Films Slasher Classic collection series of reviews. We did disc number 30, finally reaching that milestone. We did a little bit of the Toolbox Murders. Coming up in 3 weeks' time, we'll be doing disc number 31. This is The House on Sorority Row. Been waiting on this one cropping up for a wee while now. Let's jump across to their website and see what it says. 88 Films is ready to unleash a certified teen tormenting gem in the timeless terror title House on Sorority Row from 1983. Remade as a Carrie Fisher starring blockbuster in 2009, this original effort about a dorm prank gone wrong and the terrible consequences doubtlessly inspired such later revenge flicks as I Know What You Did Last Summer. A trend-setting genre template, House on Sorority Row is the latest in our slasher classics line. The special features on this one is a brand new interview with the composer Richard Band, a brand new interview with film critic Kim Newman, audio commentary by the Hysteria Lives podcast team, a trailer, technical specs is regional to region B, picture format is HD 1781, the audio format is LPCM stereo, language is English, certification 18, runtime an hour and 32 minutes. So that is where we're going in 3 weeks' time. Very much looking forward to that. This is one I've seen before but not seen in a while, so kind of looking forward to coming back to this one. Memory serves, I actually dug this quite a bit, so I did not dig the remake that they mentioned. I thought the remake was fucking atrocious, but that's just me. Right, there's a multitude of ways to check out the show. Wherever you're listening to me right now, hit subscribe to my feed, and that way you'll never miss an episode of Podcast Under the Stairs. And while you're subscribing, subscribe to the Teapots Collective, and that way you're covering all the bases and you're getting every bit of content that I record and produce. Simple as that. Visit our website, it's teapotscast.com. You can buy merch to support the show from teapotscast.bigcartel.com. Jump across to our Facebook page, facebook.com/groups/teapotscast, or the Teapots Collective page, which is facebook.com/teapotscast. You can reach out and touch myself and the Baz on the twin prongs of social media sexiness, Instagram and Twitter. Both can be followed at teapotscast. You can also check us out on that Flick Chat app. I'm not really using it if I'm honest, but if you want to jump across and start using it with me, I'll come back, I promise. Flick Chat is free and available for Android and iOS users. Our join code is TPOTSCAST. The podcast Under the Stairs will return to you tomorrow with a special interview and movie review of the brand new Arrow video movie Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway. It's currently available on the Arrow video channel, so you can jump in there, get your 30 days free, check out that movie. Or if you want to wait off and own that motherfucker, and why not, then you want to purchase it when it comes out on the 14th of September. Make sure you pre-order that shit. Yeah, I'll be chatting with the director Miguel, who was a pure delight to talk to, and you'll get that movie review when it drops tomorrow. But until then, wherever you are, whatever the time zone is and whatever you're up to in this big bad world of ours, please take care of yourselves out there. This is Duncan McLeish broadcasting live from Under the Stairs, and I am signing off.